And welcome again, everyone, to another edition of the BIS podcast, broadcasting live on the Marvin Network, where our goal is to bring you updates in local government, updates in technology, and we try to mix in a little bit of fun as well. We have one of our great guests that is returning back to the podcast, and that is Sterling Harris. Sterling, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well today. Thank you, Josh.
Awesome, Sterling. It's always a pleasure having you on the podcast. And, just recently we had you on the podcast talking about interesting Texas history. I love that conversation and that video that we got to show about the siege of the Alamo. So that was really cool. And a little bit different topic, though, today, Sterling, as we're going to be talking about 911 data. And so, Sterling, I'm just going to start right out with it. 911 data, first off, what does all that include when it comes to counties?
One of the counties, we started working with Llano County and Blanco County both just a few years back. And they were asking us to see if they could get them in compliance with what they call Next Generation 911 and NextGen. But anyway, we started working with them, and, it's about address mapping points for structures, homes, and then there's road center lines, what they call MSAG, which is the Master Street Address Gap. So, it was our mission to make sure that we could, get them to the level where they were Next Gen 911. And what that entails is you basically the address point has to match with what the road center line says. There's segments of the street that have a street range of address numbers. So when you plot that point for the address, it has to match with the street center line. And one of the things the Capital Area Planning Council were in charge of this, which is a 10-county region here that's that takes in encompasses like Llano County and Blanco County, and all the way to Travis, all the way down to Fayette County. But anyway, these counties were getting funding to get the data where it needed to be next gen ready. So that was our mission, and we learned a lot about that. Putting that data together. They actually hired a company called Geocom Data Hub, and when you would perform the edits to correct the data, you would send this data in, and that was the road center lines and the address points, and then it would vet out and show you errors, where the address point, didn't have the correct information filled in. So, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of a whole terminology that you have to learn, about, next gen 911, mapping. So it's come a long ways. The other key data set too that we, maintain for some of these counties is the parcel data. So, when you overlay the parcel data and the address points, they should match up with that structure that's part of that parcel. So all this goes into the final product is basically, it goes into what they call the PSAP, which is the PSAP is the call center, or that's the public safety answering point. So every county has, that center office is part of the 911 calls where they all come in to that system. And then the map that we're creating in GIS, after it's, edited and cleaned up, that map goes into that system. So when you walk into that office out there at the PSAP, you will see that map. And it will, when a call comes in, what this system does, it'll show you the location and what address point that call is coming from. And the other key thing about NextGen is it is about, since there's not, landlines, especially in the rural areas, There are less and less all the time. People just have cell phones. So with this next gen technology, it's allowing you to see the location when that call comes into that call center out there, and it's from a cell phone. It'll show you right the closest street that call's coming from in address point. So that's one of the key things, and it makes a tremendous difference because the old system, it would just triangulate, from the towers. So if that cell phone phone 911 call came in, it'd be miles, sometimes, a mile to half a mile away, exactly where, from where that call's coming in from. So it's really hard to locate when it comes in through that mobile device. But now with NextGen and the technology and how it's evolved and the standards that they set up for developing, address data and the road center lines, it's made a huge difference. So when a call comes in, it's going to be a lot more accurate, which speeds that, emergency response vehicle can find that location or find that person that made that call a lot faster. So it's definitely making a difference. It's going to save lives and make a huge difference in that. But it's an ongoing thing. New data has to be, or new address points have to be added all the time as people come in and develop, as the properties develop, people build new homes. What they do, they go actually directly to the county. There'll be a 911 coordinator there, and they'll take that call or take that form that they fill out, and then they create a new point or an address point for it. And then a GIS person, will update that map. And then once that's done, that data is submitted back into CapCog and through GeoCom Data Hub, and they vet it and make sure it's correct. And after that, the data is released to these PSAP centers, call centers, and that's where that GIS data goes into that mapping system. So it's really improved over the years, and that was one of the missions of the county judge here, like in Llano County and Blanco County. They did not have a GIS person that could work on the project, and they were way behind as far as being in compliance for NextGen. So came along that they hired BIS to do that for them, and so we really pushed the effort to really learn how to work with this data and get it in compliance. So, and now they are in compliance. Blanco County and Llano County both are in. They're NextGen ready, as the term is, but they're very pleased to be able to work with us and get this accomplished. What is there any other questions that you would want to ask Josh about this?
Well, Sterling, to be honest, I think you just covered it pretty much all in that one one question that I asked. But I do, you going back to your point, Sterling, it is, so important to have, as you talked about, to have those addresses, near perfect and to pinpoint, because it's only going to create a quicker response time by those emergency services to get to those people who made that call and make sure that they can get to that call and take care of that situation as quickly as possible. So again, it's something that we've been working with here over the past couple of years, and just getting it to where, again, as you talk about that kind of next generation and working up with that, I mean, it makes it so much better for our response time for our emergency services.
Absolutely, and that's the whole goal, is to prepare this data to meet those requirements. And the data is vetted through this system. They call it NENA, which is the National Emergency Number Association standards, and that's where we are. We've got these, especially these two counties we've been working in. We got them to meet those standards. So it's a wonderful thing. I know the police officers, they're now looking at mobile devices too to carry in their, where they can route themselves better, to these properties. So they're all using this this new data. And we actually maintain the parcel data for these two counties, and that is a really nice thing to have too in that call center map at the PSAP, because they can see owners if there's a wildfire out there, and they could actually click on the map and also see, the owner if they needed to get access to that property to respond to that fire. So there's a lot of cool things that can be done with this GIS data, and the 911 addressing data is just critical. And I'm very proud of Texas and their commitment to doing this. It's really helping people. The accidents happen out here in the middle of nowhere, and a self call comes in, and now they can actually see where it's located. It's amazing to have this technology.
No, you're absolutely right, Sterling. You hit it right on the nail. I mean, to have this feature to where, it makes the response time even quicker, and so many things that it could help with for all those emergency service districts, counties, looking at improving that. Give us a call here at BIS, and we can definitely help you with that, as Sterling was just talking about. Our number is 800-247-9045, or you can also email us at sales@bisconsultants.com. Well, Sterling, anything that we may have left out or anything we need to cover before we sign it off today?
Josh, I think that's pretty much covers it. It's just a broad, fast overview of what we've accomplished with the 911 mapping. But it's, like I said, we're there for anyone that wants to be able to do this. And I know some of the other counties in rural areas, they're maybe not as far evolved, as Blanco and Llano County, because we're closer, to the big cities. But I think, some of these rural counties in the border region too are trying to move that direction too. Anytime we can help anybody with 911 mapping, we can sure do that.
Absolutely, Sterling. Well, Sterling, I appreciate you joining me on the podcast again this time, and we've been talking about 911 data again for all those counties out there, for those emergency service districts that are maybe looking to improve that feature, or even, looking at any making a change at any other services that you currently have. Feel free to give us a call, talk to me, Sterling, Stoney, or Vanessa, and we can make sure that we get you the help that you need. Give us a call. Again, our phone number is 800-247-9045. Our email is sales@bisconsultants.com. Sterling, thank you so much, sir, for joining us again today.
You bet, Josh. I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Appreciate you as always too, Sterling. And again, folks, thank you for tuning in to another edition of the BIS podcast. We've been broadcasting live on the Marvin Network. For Sterling Harris, I'm Josh Green saying until next time, so long and goodbye.